Nanlilisik ang mga mata. Napuputya.
Ang kaliwang spirit, i-discourage ka.
Karamihan daw sa mga sinasapian, nag-uumpisa sa biglang pagbabago ng ugali.
Naobserbahan ka na, kinakausap kita, ang layo ng sagot mo. Ang layo ng kumaga, wala ka sa hulog. Doon meron kaming kaparanganan para malaman namin kung sinasapian ng tao. Pwede mong magdasal.
Matapos ang pagpapalayas ng sapi, unang nagkamalay si Ana. Hinang-hina at may pasa sa kanyang mga kamay. Si Mary, tumanggi na humarap sa amin dahil sa takot. Ikinuwento naman ni Ana na birthday niya nang mangyari ang pagsapi. Pilit daw niyang kinausap ang lalaking itim na gumagambala sa kanya.
Sabi ko po yung sa akin na lang pumasok, huwag na kay Jade.
That's Melty again right there.
The stars. Alright. So we got the signs of new terror going for you, Kathleen. Thank you so much. What else we got going on? We got the party lights going for you, and we need to look at Jordy's verse that is apparently about knockers. Darcy! Thank you so much for helping us wake up the world. Thank you for that awesome super chat. It says you look amazing tonight. More Deuteronomy 25, 1 through 1. It's about not grabbing peepees. Okay, so let's try and look up Jordy's verse about knockers. And then we're going to look up your verse about not grabbing peepees. Johnny Rees! Oh my god, thank you so much for that awesome super chat. And then Brees, Johnny says, love your work. Bree says, roast those vegan marshmallows with a lighter and smash between vegan chocolate and go. Oh! Should I try doing that? I don't have any vegan graham crackers though. Should I try doing that right now while I'm drunk and live? And that sounds like a really, like, it could go wrong. And I'm also out of wine and I need more wine. But should I try and light these marshmallows on fire with the vegan chocolate and see what happens? But what am I gonna light them on? Like, I need I need something for them to be lit upon. Like a graham cracker, but I don't have a graham cracker. Anyway, wait, we need Darcy. Okay, Darcy gets, let's do Ad Astras in the chat for Darcy, okay? Thank you, Darcy, you're awesome. Ad Astras in the chat for Darcy. And Infinity Skulls in the chat for Johnny Rees. And let's do party lights for all the party lights for you guys.
I don't think I'm ready, no, not for that jelly.
Yeah, so we got the Ad Astras in the chat, and the Infinity Skulls for Darcy and Johnny Rees. Thank you guys both so much.
Okay.
Okay, okay, hold on. Okay, there we go. Lily, do you want to know my real age? Wait, I actually don't know what is your age. But hi, Ketos.
I need more wine. But what? Because I don't have a graham cracker. What could serve as the base so that, because I can't just hold it, I will die. I will die by marshmallow. Tinfoil? Tinfoil is a possibility. Tinfoil is a possibility. Tinfoil? Correct. Correct. JS Click. Oh, the subscriber notifications. Oh my god. Look, now I'm finally getting subscriber notifications. Why is this? Finally. What? Okay, I don't know why it's taking so freaking long, but finally we have subscriber notification. Did it just now start doing this, or has it been doing this whole time? Has it been doing I think it just... Ellen Sophia says thank you for all that you do, Morg. Thank you, Ellen, for helping us wake up the world. I think it just... I don't understand. It should have been doing it this whole time.
Mission profile. Stand down.
It just started. Oh. Okay. Cool. Hopefully it keeps doing it. Weird. Stargo. Matthew says I love watching your videos. First time I first
Wala ko kasabot aning aplikasyon na ay libog lagi ni siya.
Hysterical and also scary.
Well, this might be some easy wins.
Happy Valentine's Day. Who was that? Sky Heaven. Thank you, Sky. Philip says hold the marshmallow between two pieces of chocolate. Hold sideways. Hold the lighter and below and melt. Then pop it all in your mouth. That sounds complicated and frightening. Philip.
Oh, man.
You understand that I'm drunk right now?
I forgot about me myself or something.
Two pieces of chocolate, light the marshmallow, get it just right, and then pop it in my mouth? No, you're crazy. You're crazy.
I just kill myself.
Why are you trying to kill me? You're trying to kill me right now. Oh, someone could get a spoon? That's not a bad idea. I could just get a spoon, huh?
Sa man ni, uy wala lagi ko ka.
Yes!
Makakuan siya kaso lang dili makikita sa. Ano man ni? Libog lagi ni siya nga kuan gamiton.
Brandy Bowden. Thank you for helping us like the world. Alright, well, wait. We gotta look up. Jordy wants me to look up a verse about knockers. And Darcy, was it Darcy? Darcy wants me to look up a verse about not touching peepees. Ah! I dropped my marshmallow. Oh, okay. Maybe I'll save the lighting marshmallow thing for the secret stream. Maybe I'll do that during the secret stream. Yeah, maybe I'll do that during the secret stream. Okay. So what was the verse? Where did? Let me try and find Jordy's verse. Ezekiel 23. I have to make sure that I don't eat all the marshmallow stuff, so we can do that. Where is Ezekiel? So We want a verse about knockers. Now is the subscriber thing not showing up anymore? Now why isn't it showing that people are subscribing? I don't understand. Ezekiel 23. Where is Ezekiel?
Saan mo yung shield on?
Whack Pro Wrestling and Zero. Oh, I'm looking at old notifications. Brandy Bolin, thank you for having us waiting for the world. Same with Chris Jones and Gail and Bradford and Jesse, thank you for the stars. Okay, so Jordy wants Ezekiel. Where'd that go? Now I lost it because Ezekiel what? 23:18. So Ezekiel 23. Alright. 23:18. Why are the subscriber notifications now not working? I don't understand. 23. Okay. But she continued her prostitution so openly that everyone knew about it. And I finally became sick of her as I had her sister. What? I don't know what we're jumping into the middle of, but apparently... Oh wait, I'm going to start a little earlier. What is this? Whoa, no, I'm going to start a little earlier than what Jordy wanted because... Well, yeah, this is... What is this? Okay. There is so much crazy stuff in here, you guys. There's so much crazy stuff in here. Okay, let's just start from the beginning, because I don't know what this story is about. This is some weird shit. Okay. The Lord spoke his word to me, saying, Human, a woman had 2 daughters. While they were young and went to Egypt and became prostitutes, they let men touch and hold their breasts. The older girl was named Ohola, and her sister was named Oholibah. They became my wives and had sons and daughters. While still my wife, Samaria had sex with other men. She had great sexual desire for her lovers. Samaria became a prostitute for all the important men. She continued the prostitution she began in Egypt when she was young. She had slept with men and they touched her breasts and they had sex with her, so I handed her over to her lovers. Oh, this is odd. What? They stripped her naked and took away her sons and daughters. Then they killed her with a sword? Women everywhere began talking about how she had been punished. Her sister saw what happened and she became worse than her sister in her sexual desire and her prostitution. She also desired the Assyrians, who were all soldiers in beautiful uniforms. I saw that both girls were alike, both were prostitutes. But Jerusalem went even further. She saw carvings of Babylonian men on a wall. They wore red and had belts on their waists and turbans on their heads. They all looked like chariot officers. When she saw them, she wanted to have sex with them and sent messengers to them in Babylonia. So these Babylonian men came and had sex with her and made her unclean. After that, she became sick of them, but she continued her prostitution so openly that everyone knew about it, and I finally became sick of her as I had her sister. But she remembered how she was a young prostitute in Egypt, so she took part in even more prostitution. So she wanted men who behaved like animals in their sexual desire, in the same way you desire to do the sinful things you had done in Egypt. Their men touched and held her young breasts. So Jerusalem, this is what the Lord says. You are tired of your lovers, so now I will make them angry with you and have them attack you from all sides. All the Assyrians will attack you, handsome young captains and lieutenants, all of them important men riding horses. God. Oh my God. I will make you miserable and drunk. You will drink everything in it and then you will smash it and tear at your breasts. You have forgotten me and turned your back on me, so you will be punished for your sexual sins. Wow, this is a bad one. Oh my God, Jordy, you found wow, you found a really wow, you found a messed up one there, didn't you, Jordy? My God. By God! Danny says you're really the best. I'll support you forever. Thanks for the stars, Danny, Chris, and Gail. Jordy found the Holy Grail, so she says. Trina says, Jordy, damn. Gwendolyn says, what the actual fuck? Guys, I'm telling you, some crazy stuff in here. Crazy stuff in here. Wendy Ellis says that is not true. What do you mean it's not true? I'm literally reading it from here. I'm not making this up. Okay, Morg, why would you even think the Mark of the Beast is a good thing? It's abominable. The Mark of the Beast is the best thing ever. We are implementing the Mark of the Beast ASAP. Mark of the Beast as soon as possible. Let's see what we got going on. Now I don't know why there's no subscriber notifications, and it's really freaking annoying. Really annoying. Why there is now no subscriber notifications. Everyone subscribe. If you're not subscribed, make sure you subscribe. Okay, let's see. What are we doing here? Danny, thank you for the awesome stars. Says, where are you from?
0111 yun siya.
Cassandra, thanks for the stars. And Gail, thanks for the stars. Alien Eternal, you have unlocked loyalty badges. For those wondering where to get Hyperion emojis and loyalty badges, they're pinned right up here at the top. Remember, we're having a secret patrons only live stream right after this. Link in the comments right now. I am going to attempt to light a marshmallow on fire with chocolate, I guess, during the secret live stream. I guess that's a thing we're doing. So if you want to see that and be a part of our secret live stream support on Patreon, link is on in the comments right now. It's the best way to support my work, and you'll be able to do that. Yeah, Morgan Hyperion Wolf. Thank you. I don't know why it's not working. It only works sometimes. I'll have to contact support and see like what the hell. Why the hell it's so weird. Beth, thank you for helping us wake the world. Okay, look, here's what we're gonna do. If you're on Facebook, please share this video. We're at 240 shares. Let's try and let's get 250.
Saan mo siya pag-full?
Okay, here's what's gonna happen. I'm gonna go. I have to piss. I'm gonna go take a piss. But what are our likes at? Our likes are at 550. I'll tell you what. When we get to 600 likes, on YouTube, we'll do our giveaway. Okay. So when we hit 600 likes on YouTube, we'll do our giveaway.
Yeah, it's welcome. Yeah, give me a second. He's doing it like completely open. Wait, hold on, give me a second. No, dude, his tree was so good. Dude, why do people feel the need to do this? It's like Dude, it's just so bad. Like, I didn't even get to take a picture of any of them. I wanted to cherish them forever. Okay, these people are nuts. That sucks.
Wala. Oh.
Good, I want you to pose in front of that. It looks so cool. Ugh. I want it. Okay. Dude, I didn't even get to see anybody else's build. I feel so bad. The tree was so good. Whoever built the tree, good job. Yeah, I swear to God. No, it's okay, PX. I got a picture of yours. I'm sorry I didn't get a picture of anybody else's, and I didn't get to see it. My house. Oh my God, Kay. At least Kay makes it like better. It's annoying because, yeah, exactly. People put their time in things, and it's so irritating. Like, I could care less if somebody griefed my world. I mean, my build, but it's just that they grief other people's stuff. It kind of sucks, man.
Oh.
Well, in times like this, you just gotta play sleep. You know, you just gotta play sleep. You know, you can't really ruin that game. You can't really ruin that. So, you know, yeah.
Plane crash. If we wish to store that in memory, what's happening is that when we're witnessing a plane crash, we're witnessing a space-time representation. So if we want to store that in memory, what we do is we take that space-time representation and decompose it into its frequency components. And then so we store that in our mind, in our memory, as frequency information. Remember, everything has a flip side? So what happens is a space-time representation event, the plane crash, occurs, and we want to store that in memory. So what we do is we decompose that into its frequency function and store that in our mind, outside space and time, not in the brain, outside space and time, as a frequency function. Now, when we want to remember that, what happens is we go back, retrieve that frequency function, and reconstruct it. Reconstruct it into a Fourier space-time function. So we have this space-time function that we decompose into frequency and then store away in the mind, because remember, mind is frequency. And then when we want to recollect it, we retrieve that frequency function and reconstruct its space-time representation. But as we're going to see here, it's never ever perfect, okay? The whole process is approximate rather than precise due to the complexities involved. So the process is not perfect, right? It's a very complex process, so it's not stored perfectly, it's not reconstructed perfectly, and it's modified by the very act of retrieval. Every time we bring back a memory, we're going to every time we reconstruct that frequency function, we slightly add our present feelings and attitudes, which self-evidently have nothing to do with the original memory, and we slightly subtract details and have become blurry, meaning that over time the memory gets vaguer and vaguer, less and less like what originally happened. In the limit, the memories can be wholly reconstructed and become outright false memories. Memory is a strictly Fourier process, and as such has no physical basis, since the core frequencies associated with the memory exist outside space, time, and matter. So here's this idea of that it's not a perfect process, because one thing, it's extremely complex, and the process of storing and retrieving will affect the memory itself, because you bring along with it your current feelings and emotions and attitudes or whatnot. You know, if you're feeling very, very angry, you might remember something differently. If you're feeling very, sad or something, you might recall it differently. So you, as the knower, are actively conditioning what it is that you are reconstructing. Because you are this system of conditioning. That's what you do. You are a system of information retrieval, information reconstruction, and so you yourself, as this determining, self-determining, self-conditioning system, when you engage in storing and retrieving, it's going to be flavored or conditioned by your mindset, right? Even when you store that frequency function, you're not storing it perfectly, right? A plane crash, you're terrified, right? Most likely you're terrified, so your terror is going to contaminate that memory as you store it as a frequency function. It's not like you are just a dead, lifeless computer and you're not storing it accurately. You know, it's not like you're storing it just like a snapshot, like a video camera, because you yourself are a living, feeling entity, and as such, you are going to inject or condition these memories with your mental state. That's going to get logged in with your memories. That's why, you know, different people can have different memories of the same situation, because your apparatus is doing the storing and the retrieving, and so are conditioning it as you do so. So let's continue on here. A subtle dilemma, this is another quote, a subtle dilemma pops up in work such as Lashley's. If engrams are distributed everywhere, how does the same brain house more than a single memory? Holographers have produced what are called multiple holograms, codes of many different scenes superimposed on top of the other right in the very same medium. How can this be? In theory, the individual code can be made almost as small as a single geometric point. Thus, on any piece of medium, the number of individual codes may approach infinity in theory. So, ontologically, individual codes do indeed become as small as points and are located inside point monads. An infinite number can be superimposed on top of each other. Such is the infinite information storage capacity of the monad. So basically what this means is that you as a mind, frequency, right? Frequency exists in the domain of pure mind, which is zero-dimensional. It's a zero-dimensional domain. Frequencies net to zero. Sine and cosine waves, when we're looking at them via their frequency components, not their space-time representation, but their frequency components, they net to zero. So, essentially what this means is your memory information, when you decompose them into their frequency functions, they become zero-dimensional. Right? You take something, the space-time representation has a lot of dimensions. You know, that plane crash is dimensional. But when you decompose it into its frequency information, it becomes zero-dimensional. It sort of collapses into an infinitesimal, a single point. And that can be stored within your mind, and it doesn't take up space, because frequency components net to zero and are zero-dimensional. So you have this, you know, you're sort of taking something that's space and time. When you can decompose them into their frequency components, you collapse them into zero-dimensionality. So here's another quote here. Cut the hologram in half, and both halves still regenerate a whole scene. Try quarters, eighths, it's the same thing. The reason is that a whole code exists at every point in the medium. The reasons are mathematical. So, we've talked about this before, but if you have a hologram, So if you have a regular picture and you cut the picture in half, what happens? Oh, you have two half pictures. If you take a hologram and cut it in half, each piece still contains the entire hologram within it. So if you have a hologram of a car, if you cut that in half, you don't have two halves of a car anymore. This piece still has the whole car, and this piece still has the whole car as well. You cut it into, quarters, now you have 4. And you cut it into eighths, now you have 8. Not 8 pieces, but each piece still contains the entirety of the image. So the cool thing about hologram is that every part contains the whole, and this is how reality works as well. Reality reflects the holographic principle, and we can understand this as from the monadic perspective as well. Every monad contains the entirety of mathematics within it. So let's continue here.
Uy,
The most
inaiki akong
characteristic
laptop
and
nga naman
astounding
eh.
and
Oy.
profound aspect of holograms is that the whole isn't every point. In terms of ontological holography, the mental singularity, okay, so in Hyperianism, that's the source. It's outside space and time. The source is present in every part located inside space and time. This is indeed the true basis of quantum mechanics. And Heisenberg's uncertainty principle, that is, quantum mechanical wave functions are calculated with respect to the entire universe, because the entire universe is present as the singularity, the source. The Heisenberg uncertainty principle is an uncertainty only when considered exclusively from the local space-time perspective. As soon as the non-local singularity is included, the uncertainty vanishes and an exact system is produced with no uncertainty at all. So with regard to the space-time and frequency domains combined. So in a nutshell, what this is saying is that the reason why that scientists are so baffled by quantum mechanics, because they can't explain it, and the reason why they come into all these apparent contradictions that they can't understand, is because reality is both space-time and frequency. We just looked at that, right? Remember? Everything is waves, and there's the frequency aspect and the space-time aspect. Physicists are only looking at the space-time aspect. They deny that the frequency aspect exists. So, this is why they run into all these contradictions and absurdities, because when you get to the level of quantum mechanics, you start seeing how particles and all the fundamental existence of reality depend on the frequency domain, depend on the wave function. But when you deny the existence of the frequency domain, you're of course going to begin to run into absurdities and be unable to explain reality. This is why physics will never be able to come up with a theory of everything, because they deny what reality is founded on. They deny the basis, the literal basis of existence, the Fourier frequency domain. And this is very important to remember. Acoustic holograms. There are acoustical holograms made from sound instead of light. The information is gathered with a microphone and the code is displayed on a TV tube. So all your senses are holographic. You experience a smell hologram, a taste hologram, a touch hologram, as well as a visual hologram and sound hologram. Indeed, the entire physical sensory world that we experience is simply the combination of the 5 sensory holograms. People who lose their sight, hearing, smell, or taste have a reduced sensory hologram, but it becomes more intense in terms of the surviving components. So all of existence represents this holographic principle. And so what happens is that you have pure frequencies, and then these frequencies result in an interference pattern, and then the interference pattern gives rise to the space-time representation that we experience. And this arises not just in sight, but sight, taste, touch, smell, sound. All of these are just space-time representations that arise from the frequency domain and the interference pattern produced from the non-orthogonal waves within the domain of mind. So you have pure basis frequencies, and then you have the frequencies that are out of phase, non-orthogonal. These non-orthogonal waves result in an interference pattern, and these interference patterns give rise to the space-time representation, and this is everything that we are talking about. So holograms are representations, translations, or projections of frequency interference patterns. The brain itself is a hologram, hence its frequency source is elsewhere in the mental domain. The brain is a hologram within another hologram, the body, within another hologram, the physical world. So that's the thing to remember. People forget that their bodies and their brains are also holograms, also space-time representations of frequency functions. So the brain is a hologram within the hologram of the body, within the hologram of the universe. Since this is a complicated, nested structure of holograms going all the way back to atoms and subatomic particles as foundational holograms, it's easier to regard the body and the universe as holographic, but to regard the unseen brain as an extension of the underlying mind, and thus to this extent is non-holographic. It's much easier to talk as if the left and right hemispheres of the brain are linked agents of mental activity, rather than linked holograms arising from underlying mental activity. So in this vocabulary, the left hemisphere of the brain is where consciousness is located, and it locally interpreted. So basically, what we're saying here is that the brain itself is holographic. It itself is a space-time representation that reflects an underlying mental frequency function. However, to kind of simplify things, because that's going to get really complicated to try and articulate, we're going to sort of simplify things a bit and talk about things as if they were in the brain. But remember, they're not actually in the brain. Okay? Consciousness isn't literally in the brain. So when we say consciousness is located in the left hemisphere of the brain, we don't mean that it's literally located in the left hemisphere. What we mean is that the brain serves as a link to the mind, and the left hemisphere of the brain is the portion of the brain associated with consciousness. So consciousness is not actually in the left hemisphere, but the left hemisphere is associated with consciousness. But you know, it would be really, really difficult attempting to articulate that if we had to qualify what we're saying every single time. So basically, what's happening is we're going to simplify our vocabulary a little bit and talk like as if it were to make things simple. So in this vocabulary, simplifying things down, the left hemisphere of the brain is where consciousness is located. The left hemisphere is associated with consciousness. And it locally interprets via its senses the collective hologram that constitutes the universe. This includes its own body, which is naturally a physical object in the universe. The brain is also a physical object in the universe, but is not considered in these terms since it's the organ through which our mind is operating, hence seems more related to the mind than matter. The right hemisphere, where the unconscious is located, connects to the source interference pattern, the frequency singularity itself. Hence is non-locally connected to the entirety of existence. This is where Jungian synchronicity happens. So basically what's saying here is that the left hemisphere is associated with the consciousness, and the right hemisphere is associated with the unconscious. Also what this means is that the left hemisphere is associated with space-time functions, and the right hemisphere is plugged in, if you will, to frequency functions, the frequency interference patterns. So the left hemisphere is associated with the holos, And the right hemisphere is associated with the source, mind. Now, once again, when we ever talk about the left and right hemisphere of the brain, the left hemispheric associated functions, the right hemispheric associated functions, we're being really simplistic. It's a lot more complicated than that. But in order to easily talk about these things, we have to use simple models like, left brain and right brain. Because, the whole point of what we're trying to do here is put these in terms of easy to understand where people can grasp this stuff. So yes, is the left brain, right brain model perfect? No, it's not. But it's a model that we can use that's easy to understand, that's more or less accurate, and can get us on the same page to where we can start discussing these higher level concepts. So, simplistically speaking, left brain is associated with consciousness, is associated with the space-time holos, and right brain is associated with the unconscious, frequency patterns, the source. Although the right hemisphere deals with the unconscious, the monadic mind itself is not located there, since it is, of course, an immaterial singularity outside space and time. However, the unconscious is much closer to the mind itself than the conscious is, the latter being mired in physicality and phenomenalism in a dynamic kaleidoscope, in Maya, illusion. The concreteness of the world is an illusion. It is, as Leibniz said, a well-founded mathematical phenomenon. It has no separate reality from that. We are watching a mathematical magic show and taking the magic for reality. Our consciousness traps us in the matrix, in the illusion. Our unconscious, our intuition, can free us. It furnishes us with the red pill, the enlightenment pill, the gnosis pill, the truth pill. We could even call it the God pill. So, your senses, the left brain and your senses, are sort of locked into, like in the movie The Matrix. Right? In the movie The Matrix, you had the Matrix world that you experienced, and then you had the code that was behind the scenes. So in this sort of terms, your left brain is associated with the Matrix world, and the right brain is sort of plugged into the code. Our senses and consciousness give us nothing but blue pills. They want to keep us trapped forever, imprisoned in the lie until doomsday. Unless you understand Fourier mathematics. This is why this is so important, and why I started off this video with an intuitive summary of Fourier mathematics. Because Fourier mathematics shows how mind and matter relate. How code and the game world relate, right? Again, that's a metaphor, that's an example. But this is why Fourier mathematics is so important. Because it begins to let us see, to peel the scales from our eyes, to pull back the curtain so that we can see the truth that underlies Maya, the illusion of the physical world, which are space-time functions that really underlie. Those space-time functions are the frequency domain. And that's how we truly understand reality. Because our senses, it doesn't seem like everything is made of frequency. Does it seem like everything is made of waves? No, it doesn't seem like it. That's why we say that our senses give us an illusion, a well-founded magic show. Right? Because our senses don't show us frequency. They don't show us waves. They show us the space-time representation. The trees, the plants, the cups, chairs. But we can use our reason, like we did at the beginning of this video, to see that underlying all the chairs, the cups and the trees, underlying all those space-time representations is the domain of mind, of frequency, of waves. And so it's reason that allows us to pull back the curtain that takes the scales from our eyes and allows us to escape from Plato's cave and stop seeing the shadows on the wall and peer at the brilliant light of the sun. So unless you understand Fourier mathematics, which explains reality, exactly what's going on logically, how do you imagine you're ever going to escape? Do you think that picking up a book about Buddhism is going to save you? When did the Buddha ever mention Fourier mathematics? And that's why I think it's so funny. You know, when people always come into the chat and they go, "You're just talking about Buddhism, or you're just talking about Hinduism, or you're just talking about this New Age thing." When did the Buddha ever talk about Fourier mathematics? No, this is something completely. No, the Buddha did not. It's just, you know, it's so annoying when people come in here and they say, no. This is something completely different. The Buddha didn't talk about Fourier mathematics. There's no Fourier mathematics in Hinduism. Like we are mathematically rigorously defining by the light of reason, which has previously been transmitted through mythos, through stories, which have caused so much catastrophe in this world. Again, it's what Hegel called Vorstellung, or picture thinking. We need to move away from picture thinking and into the light of rational thinking, so that we can truly understand what's happening. Because you're going to get into all these crazy ideas, like in a lot of these Eastern religions and New Ageism, who say that you need to destroy your ego. And this is what happens when you don't have reason to go with your ideas about reality. When what you need to do is not destroy your ego, what you want to do is strengthen your ego. Ego is what accounts for your self-awareness. And what you want to do is achieve apotheosis in God consciousness. You want to develop an absolute ego, not destroy your ego. You destroy your ego, you go back to the level of the animals. What you want to do is to develop a higher ego, a stronger ego, an absolute ego, an ego that just doesn't select for your own consciousness and your own self-awareness, but an ego that selects for the entirety of the universe and the monadic collective, all of us together, combined, the absolute.
Wa na jud akong mouse, di na jud saon naman ni ay mapalit na lang jud ko ani mouse.
It's about strengthening, it's about optimizing, it's about evolving, it's about encapsulating. That's why it's so important to know that we aren't just, you know, we have our individual eyes. We want to develop an absolute
Gamay siya screen kana bang mag live stream sa YouTube, di ba?
The
Ka live
universe,
stream sa
it has
YouTube wa kay
only
1,000
one
subscribers.
right answer, but infinite wrong answers. Arriving at the truth is the ultimate needle in the haystack exercise.
Na ako'y trabahoon dayon.
You're not going to find the needle in any old way by meditation, for example. Since the needle is mathematics, only reason can find it. Your feelings, senses, beliefs, interpretations, conjectures, hypotheses, and opinions will never help you. Prayer won't find it. And meditation is every bit as useless as prayer. In fact, it's just a different kind of prayer. If you want to find the truth, you must overcome the matrix, the Maya, the human senses, human consciousness, and the human condition itself. Mathematics uniquely is exactly what lies outside the human delusion. Mathematics is naked existence in itself. And I just want to clarify real quick, because a lot of people get confused about the meditation thing, is that, look, if you're using meditation to relax, you know, after a stressful day, or, you know, to even, you know, dive into the unconscious for a bit, there's nothing wrong with that, okay? But what's being said here is that meditation, prayer, all that stuff, that will never get you to the ultimate noumenal truth of existence. It's only reason itself that will allow you to access the ultimate truth, the ultimate underlying frequency domain. Because remember, we said this in a previous live stream, we are not here to, or the goal is not to experience, the goal is to know, to have knowledge. And let me reiterate, there's nothing wrong with experience. Experience is fantastic. Experience makes life worth living. But experience and knowledge are not the same thing.
Marami ka
And
podcast
psychedelics,
Dudoy.
meditation, and all these things, they're going to give you experiences. And let me remind you,
Mapahulab kwarta
I
sunod
am a
na
big
bahala.
proponent of psychedelics.
t-shirt?
Oh.
Disclaimer, don't do anything illegal, don't do anything harmful, etc. But
Si
I think
Tatit pod,
psychedelics
wa
are
gyud
fantastic
po, ibalak
and
mo
can be very,
bayad.
very powerful
Si Joan
and
pod, wa po ibalak
give
mo
an
bayad.
amazing experiences. But it's always important to remember that
Tatit
experience and
700.
knowledge are two different
Si
things.
Joan
And
1
what we when we want to know what reality truly is in itself, we want to have knowledge, not experience. Because yeah, psychedelics can give you a great experience, but ultimately they're just another experience. You have experiences all day. When you have psychedelics, you're having alternate
Sa nga
experiences.
highlights.
They're amazing, but you're still getting, it's just another experience.
Ay, naguba na jud akong mouse.
I know
Ginoo
people
ko.
Ay, papaka-stress na naman si Oy. More like apps. But you know, if you think of when people did watch TV channels, you have a television, you're watching one channel, you flip to another channel, and now you're getting you're getting a different experience, right? You can flip between all these different channels, and you're getting all these different experiences, right? So when you're in the waking world, everyday world, you're attuned to one channel. You're having one kind of experience. You take psychedelics, that's like you changing the channel and having a different experience.
Dili ko
Awesome.
ka edit.
Again, big proponent of psychedelics. Once again, don't do anything illegal. But again, all you're doing though is switching channels. You're not getting to the source signal. Because that television screen is giving you experiences.
Good nun.
But
Unya
there
ra
is
ko
a
kaanha
source
diha mo sa
signal
papel na ukay na
behind
ang
the experiences that are responsible for that. So, even though you can have access to all these different channel flippings and all these great experiences, and that's all wonderful, if you want to know true reality, you want to get to the source signal behind it all. And no amount of channel flipping is going to get you there. Those are all experiences. Again, even like the movie The Matrix, it would be like switching between different Matrix programs. And you can switch between different game worlds. You can switch to really crazy game worlds. You can switch to a DMT trippy game world. But it's not getting you to the code, the source code. So experiences are great. They're amazing. I can't emphasize that enough. But to get to the source signal, that's where reason is required. And only reason can get us to the formal aspect of reality and give us knowledge of the formal mathematical aspect of existence. According to physicist David Bohm, reality in itself is an unfolded noumenon. But we can see an unfolded phenomenal order of things. That which appears to be a stable, tangible, visible, audible world. Bohm labeled the enfolded reality implicate and the unfolded reality explicate. In mathematical terms, the implicate order is the immaterial frequency singularity outside space and time, while the explicate order is the Fourier space-time domain of matter. Maya, the world of illusion, is a phenomenal movie we are all watching. In fact, we are actively participating in it. We are all actors playing our parts. But no script has been written for us. We are free agents who can create our own minds and perform our own stunts. DNA. DNA is the nucleus. The nucleus of the cell is implicate. The body it produces is explicate. The DNA is potential life, so to speak, while the body is actual life. The DNA directs the nature of the body's unfolding. Genotype and phenotype. The genotype, phenotype distinction, is drawn in genetics. Genotype is an organism's full hereditary information. Phenotype is an organism's actual observed properties, such as morphology, development, or behavior. This distinction is fundamental in the study of inheritance of traits and their evolution. It is the organism's physical properties which directly determine its chance of survival and reproductive output, while the inheritance of physical properties occurs only as secondary consequence of the inheritance of genes. Therefore, to properly understand the theory of evolution via natural selection, one must understand the genotype-phenotype distinction. The genes contribute to a trait, and the phenotype is the observable expression of the genes, and therefore the genotype that affects the trait. Say a white mouse has the recessive genes that cause the color of the mouse to be inactive. Its genotype would be responsible for its phenotype, the white color. Okay, so the genotype is implicate and the phenotype is explicate. Similarly, the interference pattern, the mental singularity, the frequency domain, the source, is implicate, and the hologram, the physical universe, is explicate. The singularity, the source, is the genotype, that is the information code, the information in itself, while the universe is the phenotype, the information manifest, the information expressed. We see bodies, phenotypes, but not the genotypes from which the bodies are built. We see the universe, the physical phenotype, but not the singularity, the mental genotype from which it is constructed. All visible information is all underpinned by invisible information. Death. Death is the end of what? Bodily hologram. But we soon get a new one via reincarnation. You become a god when you no longer require a holographic body. You can construct one at will or do without one. Reality. Maybe reality isn't what we see with our eyes. If we didn't have that lens, the mathematics performed by our brain, maybe we would know a world organized in the frequency domain. No space, no time, just events. Can reality be read out of that domain? The frequency world is the world of the immaterial mind itself, while the space-time world is the world of the material brain. The two are linked by Fourier mathematics. We gain direct access to the non-space-time world via our unconscious, our intuition, drugs, especially hallucinogens, transcendental states, and pure reason. That is math. Consciousness is a reducing valve, while the unconscious is an expanding valve. It enlarges rather than contracts the mind. Quantum mechanics is about the interaction of the frequency domain and the space-time domain. Scientists have never understood this. They try to comprehend quantum mechanics in terms of space-time alone, forcing them to regard the mathematical frequency domain as an unreal abstraction and propelling them into a needless probabilistic interpretation of quantum mechanics. And that's the problem with mainstream science and why they cannot explain quantum mechanics. Because they only accept space-time as being real and dismiss the frequency domain as unreal. And that's why you get these crazy interpretations, such as the Copenhagen interpretation, which says that reality randomly collapses from an unreal quantum mechanical wave function. And ideas were like cats can be both alive and dead at the same time. These absurdities arise when you deny the domain
Kabalo
of
ko
mind.
masabot kay wa po ko man din kaya man pud ako muotong
Obviously,
pero
mainstream
tanang
religion
bang
is
yun
absurd,
anang klase
with things
nga
like God
kuan
creating
kay
the
kanang
universe
anang klase
and
di naman gid
cosmos
nakaduol nako.
But mainstream
Hindi na
science is
kautro
just as
nako.
absurd, if not more absurd, because instead of God creating the world, we have reality springing into existence from absolutely nothing at all, from non-existence. You have cats that can be both alive and dead simultaneously. You have collapse of an unreal wave function into somehow a real particle. You have all these ideas that are actually even more absurd than mainstream religion. And so science is not about logic and reason. Science is about the senses and observation. Where mainstream religion is about faith in God, scientific materialism is about faith in the senses. And they're both a faith, and they both come to absurd conclusions. And neither are ruled by logic and reason. They both use logic and reason to try and justify their faith. Mainstream religious individuals will try and use reason to justify their faith in God. And scientific materialists will try and use reason to justify their faith in empiricism. But none of them place reason as ground. And it should be. You know, if you're trying to use reason to justify something as true, you should just cut out the middleman and realize that reason itself is what is true. So, you know, in 50 years from now or 100 years from now, depends how quickly humanity gets its head out of its collective house, it's going to be seen that materialist science today is just as absurd, if not absurd, as mainstream religion, you know. The idea of wave function collapse is going to be just as crazy as Zeus, Thor, and Jesus. The idea of the Big Bang, non-existence coming from nothing, is going to be as insane as creationism. The idea of the collapse of the wave function and being in a superposition of alive and dead states, such as the Schrodinger's cat, is going to be just as crazy as fucking insane technology. And this is where, you know, you guys should really step outside of space and time, the current time and place you're born in, and realize the prevailing paradigm is crazy and absurd, and that a mathematical reality, a rational reality, is the only true answer. So, our normal human perception is attuned to, you know, the matrix, the phenomenal world, the illusory world. Our abnormal perception, our extrasensory perception, our intuition links us to the source of the matrix, the code, the mental singularity, the noumenal world. James Jean said, "The universe begins to look more like a great thought than like a great machine. Mind no longer appears as an accidental intruder into the realm of matter. We are beginning to suspect that we ought rather to hail it as a creator and governor of the realm of matter." Why have so few scientists followed Jean's line of thought? The scientific mind in the last few decades has closed down to a frightening degree. It now refuses to consider anything immaterial. Until the Second World War, scientists were still quite open-minded. Since then, they have become fanatical materialists. Aggressive atheism is the core of the scientific worldview. No one could now succeed in the scientific world if they advocated any position suggesting the independence and autonomous agency of mind. The digital universe. One establishes a new picture of the universe as a digitized universe and information universe, but I think that because of the strong cybernetical influences at work, I prefer to call it the intelligent universe. That's a quote by David Foster. The universe is an information universe and an intelligent universe, but it isn't a digital universe, a machine. It's an analog universe, a living organism. It's intelligent because it's mathematical. Mathematics inherently conveys intelligent design, order, organization, and pattern. The apparent concreteness of the universe is generated by cosmic data, cosmic rays, so to speak, that is sinusoids, from an organized source. The one, the singularity, the source. These can be known purely mathematically, since the singularity is pure math in itself. Holographic supertheory. The holographic supertheory asserts that our brains mathematically construct hard, concrete reality by interpreting frequencies from a source that transcends space and time. Only a non-physical, dimensionless domain can transcend space and time. Only a cosmic mind can stand behind matter, behind the physical cosmos. And that's what we are. We are the one. We are the absolute. We are the source, and we stand behind space and time, and we generate matter through our frequencies, through our thought patterns. And we are the generation, the generators of a material universe. So that's us. When we say that a cosmic mind stands behind the universe, doesn't mean some kind of creator god. It means us. We are the minds that generated this dream world, that then insert ourselves into this dream world to be able to experience it together. The brain, it's a hologram, interpreting a holographic universe, produced by the mind. Individual holographic brains are part of the greater cosmic hologram. So remember that our brains are a hologram, within a hologram. And brains are what serve as links for our minds. Our brains are what allow us as monads, as minds, to link to and interact in the holos. If we're using a computer game metaphor, our brains are sort of like the remote control. It's what allows us to interact in the game. That's not a perfect analogy, because the brain is actually in the game, it's not outside of the game. But our brains are our holographic space-time functions that our minds link to. And so what this means mathematically is that our brains are space-time functions, that our minds as a frequency function can link to and interact with. So a frequency function is establishing a connection to a space-time function, and through that connection is able to interact in the holos. Jungian synchronicity is comprehensible only in holographic terms, where non-local information is available instantly outside space and time, and the singularity that controls the cosmic hologram. The singularity, the source, is a mathematical web of interconnectedness. It's wholly non-empirical. Psychokinesis, mind affecting and directing matter, is a natural upshot of the holographic worldview. After all, our own minds are the source of matter, and with our own free will, we can make our physical bodies serve our desired ends. Clairvoyance, viewing, telepathy, reincarnation, and ESP are also fully compatible with holography. These are absurd if treated in scientific or mystical terms, but make perfect sense in terms of Fourier mathematics. All authentic psychic phenomena are non-physical and non-scientific. They take place mentally outside space and time. Energy doesn't travel from here to there. In the singularity of mind, there isn't any here or there in physical scientific terms. Basically what that means is that in the mental domain, there is no, in the physical domain, the physical space-time domain of the holos is what's known as a local domain. That means certain things are localized. What that means is this cup is right here. It's localized here. I am localized here. Things are localized. The source is non-local. Non-local means that things aren't here or there. Everything is interconnected and everything is everywhere. So again, if you think of it like a computer game and a computer code, in a computer game, the game world is localized. There is a game tree over there. There is a game chicken over there. But the code is non-local. The code is everywhere. It's all interconnected. If you had access to the code, you would have access to, there's not like some part of the code here and some part of the code over there. It's all interconnected. So you'd have access to all of it. It's not localized. There's no distance. So same thing with the frequency domain. In the space-time domain of the holos, things are localized. In the non-local source singularity, the frequency domain, things are all interconnected and no here or there. Let's see. Resurrection is incompatible with holography, since it ties our mind and soul to a specific body forever. There's no sufficient reason for a one-to-one relationship between body and mind. A mind can enter any suitable body. If it can enter one body, it can enter any body. This is the basis of reincarnation. So, in ontological mathematics is compatible with reincarnation, not resurrection. In the past, we disliked referring to reality as a hologram because it was an idea that had been commandeered by New Age gurus and made to reflect the full repertoire of mystical nonsense. However, as long as reality is understood to be an analytic mathematical hologram and nothing at all to do with mysticism, it's the perfect way of characterizing reality. So, understanding reality as a hologram is a really powerful way to understand existence, because a hologram deals with frequencies and a source being and an interference pattern and a holographic representation, and that is extremely similar to how reality actually works. I mean, it is how reality actually works. Reality is based on a frequency source domain whose interference pattern gives rise to a space-time representation. And it's just important to remember this is all understood rationally and mathematically and not through, New Age mystical nonsense. So, physics deals with nature. Metaphysics with supernature. Science deals with the natural, mathematics with the supernatural. It's not religions, spirituality, mysticism, and the paranormal that lie beyond sensory nature, but reason, logic, math, and the rational is what lies hidden behind the physical. The breakthrough in understanding the human mind comes from mathematics and nothing else. Mathematics alone can establish the so-called supernatural as part of nature and indeed the determinant and creator of nature. Supernatural simply means immaterial, non-local, and dimensionless. All the things rejected by science. The holographic model of reality is an integral theory bringing together math and science, math, religion, spirituality, and phenomena. Holography is all about the real and phenomenal, the local and non-local, the mundane and transcendent, individuation and interconnectedness. What fragments us and makes us whole, individual symmetry and group symmetry, we are all united to the source, the one, the singularity, the mathematical noumena that eternally and perfectly powers existence. With the dawn of the holographic paradigm, we look forward to the birth of a formal era of psychotechnology. Thanks to the holographic paradigm, we can uncover new collective consciousness that drives collective evolution, leading us all to a divine omega point. And this is exactly the point of Hyperianism. And this is why I want to stress where it's so important to understand, the frequency nature of existence. Again, people who come in and say, oh, this is Buddhism, or oh, this is Hinduism. It's like, no, it's not. None of these people ever talk about Fourier mathematics or anything like this. The whole point is to get, beyond these mystical ideas and these stories, because they lead to terrible ideas such as trying to destroy the ego, which is the exact opposite. The goal is apotheosis, the collective evolving divine consciousness of all of us, which means the transformation and empowerment of our ego until it reaches an absolute ego. We are the absolute. We are Abraxas. We are the opening of the great eye, and we can understand this by understanding the mathematical and the frequency nature of existence. And the better that we understand this, the better that we understand the code of reality, the better that we will fulfill our roles as creators, as gods. Because this is what we are. This is our purpose. We are the creators. We are the gods. We have unconsciously created this dream world.
Oh, nawala
And
man good
now
oy.
it's up to us to fulfill
Nawala.
our purpose.
Nawala
by
tong
becoming
30.
Nawala, di ba to
creators.
$2,000
We
na
are
to?
already
Nawala man.
unconscious creators.
Bot-bot man
The
siguro
whole
to.
point is to
Then,
evolve from
ako nag-try na po
unconsciousness
kog
to
$200.
consciousness to
Dahil
maximize
mga yun na
our
po siyang 30
consciousness
ka
and
referral.
serve
Ay,
the
naku,
role of the
bot-bot.
gods of this world. And that is
Lisod,
exactly
lisod
what
na gali
I'm able
magkuag
to do.
30 ka referral.
First, by
Mao jud. Scam da ito mo.
creating
Daghan
a
man kung nga na sa
unified and
online.
united world,
Di
by
ka to
creating
kang
a
kuan.
better society,
Insaon
by
dito mo kasi
establishing a Hyperion meritocracy, by providing everything with people with all the basic needs that are necessary to maximize their potential and create a society of
Oh,
their
daghan
lives.
siya, daghan
And
mo
once you
hatag sa
organize
iyaha.
the physical world according to that structure,
Nagsugod
you
ka
start
na,
developing higher
ang 5 pesos isang
technologies,
bulan.
and we start creating
4 pesos
a
pa rin po
stronger
ang kwarta.
interconnectedness and bond with each other, and evolving our absolute ego. We again will eventually be able to create a collective, collaborative dream world where we will be able to create worlds together. That we will be able to create that new channel, that new frequency pattern where we will be able to exercise our creative powers consciously. But to be able to get there, we have
Kung
to
gilamba
begin to
kadugayan
organize
kay
this world, the
buisit.
physical
Ah, mo
world,
ito
by
yung
making
ka nga.
changes in
Nilag
this
ang mouse na ito.
world here and now, by creating a
Hindi
more
siya
unified
madetect.
world, a more rational
Hindi siya
world, a
madetect.
more educated world, a more
Kuan
intelligent
ako
world,
pa
by actually
ilin.
going out there,
Inset
spreading
ka
this information,
Kaya ug wala siya,
planting those
ug wa siya
seeds to prepare,
detekto, dapat
for
detect
creating
siya.
our kingdom of
Tuloy-tuloy akong
God
trabaho.
here on
Na
earth,
isang
our
semana
kingdom
na
of
ko
heaven,
gapailin-ilin
as
og kuan.
gods here on earth as divine beings.
Nakaroon
So
na.
it's really
Nadedox,
important to
nadedox na
understand
ginoon
how
siya.
reality truly
Na
works.
judgment
Again, we
yun.
don't want just
Tao na lang yun.
So, wala na i-depict ko.
experiences.
Makunik na
Experiences
siya.
are great, but we want true knowledge, which comes from understanding the frequency nature of existence. And again, I urge you to, look at the beginning of this video. I showed you an intuitive example of the Fourier transform or Fourier mathematics. But again, look into it more. I've written a whole book on this, Ontological Mathematics, the Science of the Future. Check it out. And again, the Hyperion Source is a great channel. It has put out
400 plus.
Oh, nya. Family passive
videos on this
100.
very topic, and I'm sure that they will be putting out more as well. It's something really important to begin to understand how reality is a representation of frequency information, because this has huge implications on everything. And again, we talked a lot about memory today and how what that has to do with frequency information, decomposing space-time information into a frequency function and then retrieving that frequency function. And that's just one example. Everything is related to this. And so it's really important to understand this. And once people start understanding this, the world will change, because we'll realize that, guess what? From the absolute perspective,
muangal mo kay mahal akong paningil nga. Mao mo ginay saktong paningil ana. Lisod ko.
We're all nodes of the axis. And so all the hatred and all the division will begin to melt away.
Kanang papel na ako kay gi-order pag ako na kuan online dili ko na diha sa amis mapalit nga baratuhon. Premium ko na akong papel katong tinuod jud nga papel.
Evolution as we reach together collectively toward the to create a brilliant new world where we can have beautiful experiences. And that's another thing that I really like across is that experiences are wonderful. You know how I said, well, we want knowledge, not experience? Well, we do. It's experience is bad, but it's knowledge that will pave the way for us to be able to create
Later on man. Something dito,
amazing experiences. I mean, look at the shitty experiences we have in the world today. We have the shitty experiences in the world today because we don't have proper knowledge. If we had proper knowledge and understood what we were, where we are, and why we are here, then we would be able to create a brilliant world of experiences. So the point is that reason, knowledge, true understanding, that is what will allow us to create a new world with amazing experiences. That is what will allow us to create a loving and compassionate world. And that's why I say, I've said it before, love isn't what's going to change the world. Love is what we get when we change the world. Reason, education, knowledge, that is what allows us to change the world. It's not love, it's not sitting there and sending good vibes, it's not all that. But love is what we will get when we change the world. And same idea with experiences. Experiences aren't bad, they're amazing. But that is what we will get when we have knowledge and we can create a new world which allows for higher experiences. And we're not at each other's throats because of capitalism and racism and sex and all the violence and the horrible crap that we go through, because humans don't understand what they are. They don't understand, it's so ridiculous. They don't understand what they are, so they start killing each other. I mean, again, it's just, I don't know how many of you guys relate to this, but it's just, I am aghast at how insane this world is. I am just floored. It's almost funny, but it's a horrible joke. I think humans are so incredibly stupid. They don't know what they are, so they start killing each other. And it's very sad and it's very frustrating. But that's why it's so important for us to create this community together and to raise the consciousness of humanity into a new state where we can finally, get to a place where we're not just in a mad, bitter struggle for survival, rather in a world where we are thriving and finally having that, having the true experiences that we deserve and are able to have the knowledge and education to step into ourselves as self-actualized and step into apotheosis, both individually and collectively.
Ako may nagbayad.
Unsa to yang gi-order?
T-shirt.
Pilahon po to?
370.
Mon, di ba? Ay, wala pa sila na swelduhan guro dire mon sa imong igsuon mon.
Kung may kwarta, pagpuyo, di rin mo resyo.
Oh, baby, you, yes, you.
Nawala ang akong gikuan nga. Nara di ay.
Kinsa man? Moira. Unsa yang bago ron? Naa? Pag-ibig ang piliin.
Pareho lang tayo, naghahanap ng kuplihan kung saan tayo tanggap. Ang magmahal ng hindi kailangan magpanggap. Ngunit minsan nasasaktan, ngayong nagmamahal ka lang. Tinatakasan ng mapanghusgang mundo, ngunit kung pag-ibig lang ang pangakad mo. Kahit na di natin alam bukas, kahit di sumikat ang araw at pumuhol sa ulan, kahit di umayon ang tadhana, isang tawag mo lang pupuntahan. Nasaan ka man, ganyan ang tunay na pag-ibig. Di takot sa mundo, ipaglalakbay kita hanggang sa dulo. Pag-ibig ang pipiliin ko. Pag-ibig ang pipiliin ko.
Okay, don't move. Oh, I said don't move. Smash.
Sheeta.
move.
Sheeta. Oh, it's full. Okay, it's full.
Yugs. Ball. Bull. Ay, bull.
Wow! 18.
No! No! I was
God!
Come on. Where are we? Get it. Who